Free NFL picks. This is action here for Sunday, November 13th. I'm Tony T. Our NFL pick show here for Sunday's action that features all 12 games for you. Just a couple things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free NFL picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have college football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, European football, and more. It is a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com, or a multi-capper site showcases top cappers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers. Get signed up to some of our long-term passes. Hot cappers like Nick, who's been on fire. Brandon, Tiffany's been up there. Ramon Scott on fire last 30 days, as well as this year. Mindy's been hot. Click the link and get signed up to a long-term passes. You'll find our premium picks here at the center of the page. And of course, our best bets. Each capper can release one best bet per sport per day. You can see many of the best bets are up there right now for Sunday, as well as our $15 premium pick. Each capper can designate one of their picks from the card as a $15 premium pick, just to showcase their service to new and existing customers. And of course, our popular 3-pack up there, great value there on the 3-packs. Of course, these are sold as profit guarantee. Must turn a profit, or the amount you purchase is credited back in your account for side credits. That's profit guarantee. Longer term passes are not, because they're sold already at very low prices. So you can see what we have there on the 3-packs. And of course, as we scroll down, you'll find our pick ticker. So you can purchase picks individually there, profit guaranteed on our pick ticker. All right, let's go ahead. Oh, before we do, let's know our promo code. You can save 20% off all premium pick packages by using the promo code TonyT at checkout. You can access our page by clicking the link in the description. Click the All Cappers tab and get signed up. Always love to hear from you guys, so post your picks in the comments below. We are looking for cappers, so you can apply down in our footer section and our podcast. Every pick is in podcast form at our Tony's Picks podcast on all major platforms. Let's get this one started. Seahawks and Buccaneers NFL pick here for Sunday. Game played in Germany. Wide receiver Goodwin is questionable for the Seahawks, with starters on defense healthy. Buccaneers left guard out with tight end Brake questionable. Their defensive starters healthy. Seattle improved to 6-3 with their 31-21 road win at Arizona. Seahawks gained 421 yards in this one, with 158 rushing on 34 carries. On defense, they did allow 5 yards per rush to the Cardinals, with 140 passing on 35 attempts. Geno Smith completed 76% of his passes in the win, 8.1 yards per attempt. He threw for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. On the year, Smith, 73% completion rate, 7.8 yards per attempt. Tampa Bay improved to 4-5 with their 16-13 home win to the LA Rams. Bucks gained 323 yards in this one, 51 rushing on 20 attempts. Defensively, they held the Rams to under 3 yards a carry, with 138 passing on 27 attempts. Tom Brady completed 62% in the win, with season low here, 4.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 280 yards, 1 touchdown on 58 attempts. This season, Brady a 65% completion rate, 6.4 yards per attempt. Seahawks have won 4 straight. Over the past 3 games, they are averaging 367 yards, 4.9 yards per attempt, and 72% completion rate. Buccaneers defense in this span surrendering 157 yards on the ground and 5.6 yards a carry. Seahawks offense doing a better job, as head coach Pete Carroll is coaching this team as well. I think he's doing a better job as well as a coach on the other sidelines. Player will be Seattle plus 2.5. Lions and Bears NFL pick here Sunday. Detroit receiver Reynolds is out on defense, and a safety questionable. Chicago has a guard questionable on defense, and defensive end doubtful, and corner questionable. Detroit sits at 2-6 with their 15-9 home win to Green Bay. Lions posted a season low 254 yards with 117 rushing on 31 carries. Defensively, they held the Packers just over 4 yards per rush, with 283 passing yards on 43 attempts. Jared Goff, season lows here, 54% completions, 5.3 yards per attempt. He threw for 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. This season, Goff a 63% completion rate with 7.4 yards per attempt. Chicago fell to 3-6 after that 35-32 home defeat to Miami. Bears offense gained 368 yards, 252 rushing on 40 carries. Defensively, they held the Dolphins to 3 yards per rush with 302 passing yards on 30 attempts. Justin Fields completed 61% with season low 4.4 yards per attempt. He did pass for 3 touchdowns and 123 yards. He ran for season highs 15 carries and 178 yards and a touchdown. Lions have lost all 3 on the road. They're giving up 4.8 yards per rush, 69% completion rate, and 7.2 yards per attempt. Bears at home running for 5.6 yards per attempt and getting good defensive performance, allowing 313 yards. Play here will be Chicago minus the 2.5. Jaguars and Chiefs, NFL pick here for Sunday. Jacksonville offensive starters are healthy. Safety on defense questionable. KC receiver Hardman out with defensive end Clark out. Jacksonville improved to 3-6 with their 27-20 home win to the Las Vegas Raiders. Jags overcame a 20-0 deficit in the first half. They gained 403 yards with 168 rushing on 37 carries. On defense, Jacksonville held Las Vegas to under 4 yards per carry with 248 passing yards on 36 attempts. Trevor Lawrence completed 80% of his passes, 7.6 yards per attempt. Career highs this year, 64% completion rate, 6.7 yards per attempt. KC, they're 6-2 after their 20-17 home win in overtime to Tennessee. Chiefs offense posted 499 yards, 77 rushing on 19 carries. Defensively, the Chiefs allowed over 6 yards per rush, 57 passing yards on 16 attempts. Patrick Mahomes completed 68% of his passes, 6.6 yards per attempt. He had season highs here, 68 attempted passes for 446 yards. Mahomes threw for a touchdown and interception on the season. Mahomes a 66% completion rate, 7.9 yards per attempt. Jaguars' pass defense on the road has been poor as they're allowing 293 passing yards, 65% completion rate, 6.9 yards per attempt. They've been poor getting off the field on third down in their road games, allowing 49% conversion rate. On the road, they put poor pressure on opposing quarterbacks, averaging just 1 sack a game. Chiefs at home throwing for 308 yards, 65% completion rate. KC also good at home on converting and defending third down. The play here will be on Kansas City minus 9.5. Saints and Steelers NFL pick here Sunday. New Orleans will be without starting quarterback Winston and their left guard and center out. On defense, the Saints are without a linebacker and corner with a defensive end, plus safety questionable. Pittsburgh offensive guard questionable. On defensive corners out and linebacker here questionable. TJ Watt expected to play. New Orleans fell to 3-6 after their 27-13 home defeat to Baltimore Ravens on Monday night. Saints gained a season low 243 yards, 48 rushing on 15 carries. On defense, New Orleans gave up nearly 5 yards a carry to the Ravens with 131 passing yards on 22 attempts. Andy Dalton completed 65% of his passes, 7.2 yards per attempt. He had 210 passing yards with a touchdown and interception. Season-date Dalton, a completion rate of 65%, 7.3 yards per attempt. In his only road game, he threw 3 interceptions to Arizona this season. Pittsburgh fell to 2-6, a 35-13 road defeat at Philadelphia. Steelers gained 302 yards with 144 rushing on 24 carries. On defense, Pittsburgh allowed 5.5 yards per carry to the Eagles with 290 passing on 30 attempts. Kenny Pickett completed 66% of his passes, 5 yards per attempt in defeat. He threw for 191 yards and an interception. This season, Pickett 68% completion rate, 5.8 yards per attempt. Steelers have a recent home win to Tampa Bay. Saints have dropped their past 2 road games. Pittsburgh's defense has been strong against the run at home. New Orleans on the road give up nearly 5 yards a carry and not getting pressure on the quarterback. The play here will be Pittsburgh +1. Browns and Dolphins NFL pick here for Sunday. Cleveland tight end Njoku out. On defensive linebackers out. Miami has both offensive tackles questionable. Their defensive starters are healthy. Cleveland improved to 3-5 with their 32-13 home win to Cincinnati as they hit the bye. Browns gained 440 yards with 172 rushing on 44 carries. Defensively, they limited the Bengals to 36 rushing yards and 193 passing on 35 attempts with 5 sacks. Jacoby Brissett completed 77% of his passes, 12.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 279 yards, a season high, and 1 touchdown. On the year, Brissett, 64% completion rate, 7.3 yards per attempt. Miami, they're 6-3 after a 35-32 road win at Chicago. Dolphins put up 379 yards in this one, 77 yards rushing on 23 carries. Defensively, they limited the Bears' passing game but allowed 252 yards rushing on 40 carries. Tua Tagovailoa completed 70% in the win, 10 yards per attempt. He threw for 302 yards and 3 touchdowns. This season, Tua completed a career high, nearly 70% of his passes, 9.2 yards per attempt. Miami defense has performed better at home. Tua's performance too strong, and so are his weapons in the passing game. Play here, Miami -3.5. Vikings and Bills NFL pick here for Sunday. Minnesota offensive starters are healthy. On defense, a defensive end and corner out. Buffalo quarterback Allen questionable. Defensively, an end and safety out with linebacker questionable. Minnesota improved to 7-1, a 20-17 road win at Washington. Vikings gained 301 yards, 56 rushing on 22 attempts. Defensively, they allowed nearly 4.5 yards a carry to the Commanders with 126 passing yards on 28 attempts. Kirk Cousins completed 55% of his passes, 6.6 yards per attempt. He passed for 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Season-to-date, Cousins at 65% completion rate, 6.6 yards per attempt. Buffalo fell to 6-2 after their 20-17 road defeat at the Jets. Bills' offense produced 317 yards, 134 rushing on 22 carries. On defense, they did limit the Jets' passing attack, but allowed 174 rushing yards on 34 carries. Josh Allen, an elbow injury. He was limited in practice on Friday. Status a game-time decision. Allen this season, 64% completion rate, career high, 8.1 yards per attempt. Now, the backup Case Keenum, while he's thrown 7 passes this year, he saw action in 7 games with Cleveland last year, completing 65%, 6.4 yards per attempt. The Vikings on the road averaging only 266 yards, and on defense giving up 402 yards. Pass defense has been an issue on the highway for the Vikes. Bills defense has been good at home. Keenum, a game manager with lots of starting experience and is capable of with the quality around him. Play here will be Buffalo -3. Broncos and Titans NFL pick Sunday. Denver receiver Hamler is out, as is their right tackle. On defense, a linebacker is out and safety questionable. Tennessee quarterback Tannehill questionable. On defense, an end, 2 linebackers and safety out. A corner is questionable. That's 4 starters on defense out for Tennessee. Denver improved to 3-5 with their 21-17 win at Jacksonville as it hit the bye week. Broncos gained 331 yards with 101 rushing on 28 carries. Defensively, Denver stuffed the Jaguars' passing attack, allowing 191 yards rushing on 32 attempts. Russell Wilson hit on 60% of the win, 8.4 yards per rush. He threw for 252 yards with a touchdown and pick on the season. Wilson, a career low, 58.8% completion rate with 7.4 yards per attempt. Now, Tennessee comes off a 20-17 road overtime defeat at Kansas City to fall to 5-3. Titans gained a season low 229 yards, 172 rushing on 29 carries. Defensively, they allowed 4 yards per rush to the Chiefs with 422 passing yards on 68 attempts. Titans defense on the field for 87 plays. Ryan Tannehill has practiced all week and trending to play. But on the year, Tannehill is a 65% completion rate, 7.5 yards per attempt. Blake Willis in his action in 4 games, completion rate 40%, 4.7 yards per attempt. Titans quarterback situation, the concern. Also, Tennessee played too much defense last week. Denver off the bye showing improvement. Play here, Denver +3. Texans and Giants NFL pick. This one goes off here on Sunday. Houston receivers Cooks and Collins questionable. On defense, a defensive tackle questionable. Texans fell to 1-6-1 with their 29-17 home defeat to Philadelphia on Thursday night. Houston put up 303 yards with 168 rushing on 32 carries. Defensively, they allowed over 4.5 yards per rush with 217 passing on 27 attempts. Davis Mills completed 59% of his passes with 7 yards per attempt. He finished with 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions on the season. Mills a 63% completion rate with 6.4 yards per attempt. Giants fell to 6-2 after their 27-13 road defeat at Seattle as they hit the bye. Giants produced 225 yards, 78 rushing on 28 carries. Defensively, they surrendered 3.5 yards a carry to the Seahawks with 190 passing on 34 attempts. Daniel Jones completed 55% of his passes, 5.7 yards per attempt. He passed for 176 yards and no touchdowns. On the year, Jones, a career high 65% completion rate, 6.4 yards per attempt. Texans on the road give up 383 yards, 5.9 yards per rush, but the Giants defense at home giving up 6.3 yards a carry. Play here at Houston +5.5. Colts and Raiders NFL pick here Sunday. Indianapolis starters are healthy. On defense and defensive end is questionable. Las Vegas offensive starters healthy with the linebacker questionable on defense. Indianapolis fell to 3-5-1 with their 26-3 road defeat at New England. Colts gained a season-low 121 yards with 78 rushing on 22 carries. On defense, they held the Patriots just over 3 yards per carry with 133 passing yards on 30 attempts. Sam Ehlinger completed 52% of his passes, 3.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 103 yards and a pick. Ehlinger on the year, a 61% completion rate with 5.8 yards per attempt. Las Vegas fell to 2-6 with their 27-20 road defeat at Jacksonville. Raiders blew a 20-0 lead in this one. They gained 321 yards with 73 rushing on 19 carries. On defense, Las Vegas allowed over 4 yards a carry with 235 passing yards on 31 attempts. Derek Carr completed 58% of his passes with 7.2 yards per attempt. He threw for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns. This season, Carr, 62% completion rate, 6.9 yards per attempt. Back-to-back road games for Indianapolis and a coaching change to complicate things even more. Raiders have won and covered their past 2 home games. Past 3 games, Colts offense averaging just 245 yards, 153 passing with 4.8 yards per attempt. Play will be Las Vegas -4.5. Cowboys and Packers NFL pick Sunday. Dallas running back Elliott is questionable. On defense, they have a linebacker out. Packers receiver Dobbs out with left tackle questionable. A linebacker is out as well. Dallas moves to 8-2 with their 49-29 home win to Chicago. Cowboys gained 442 yards with 200 rushing on 29 carries. On defense, the Cowboys did limit the Bears through the air, but allowed 240 yards rushing on 43 carries. Dak Prescott, 78% completion rate in the win, 9.3 yards per attempt, hitting the bye. He threw for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Green Bay falls to 3-6 with their 15-9 road defeat to the Detroit Lions. Packers offense posted 389 yards, 106 rushing on 25 carries. Defensively, Green Bay held the Lions to nearly 4 yards per carry with 137 passing yards on 26 attempts. Aaron Rodgers, completion rate here, 53% in the loss, 6.8 yards per attempt. He threw for 291 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. On the season, Rodgers, a career low 6.6 yards per attempt, 65% completion rate. Both defenses played well and strong in the pass defense the past 3 games. In this span, Cowboys averaging 4.3 sacks a game. The play here will be Dallas and Green Bay under 44.5. Cardinals and Rams NFL pick here Sunday. Arizona left guard and center out. Kyler Murray with left tackle and right guard questionable. On defense, the linebacker, cornerback, and safety are questionable. Rams left tackle doubtful with Stafford and his center questionable. On defense, their nose tackles out as well. Arizona fell to 3-6 with a 31-21 home defeat to Seattle. Cardinals gained a season low 262 yards, 122 rushing on 21 carries. Defensively, they allowed nearly 5 yards per run with 263 passing yards on 34 attempts. Kyler Murray dealing with a hamstring issue, game time decision. Colt McCoy is the backup. McCoy saw action in 8 games last season, completed 75% with 7.5 yards per attempt. Murray on the year is completed 67%, a career low 6 yards per attempt. Rams fall to 3-5, a 16-13 road defeat at Tampa Bay. Rams gained a season low 206 yards, 68 rushing on 24 carries. They did stuff the Bucs' ground attack on defense and allowed 272 passing yards on 58 attempts. Rams defense on the field for 78 plays. Matthew Stafford questionable in concussion protocol. He did return to practice on Friday in a game-time decision. Stafford this season a completion rate 68%, 6.8 yards per pass attempt. He has thrown for 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. John Wolford is the backup, has thrown 4 passes this season. Last year, Wolford a 58% completion rate, 6.1 yards per attempt, and an interception. Rams have been held to 14 or fewer points in 4 of 5 games. LA run game has been poor and a concern if Wolford starts. Cardinals showing better offensive numbers in recent games. Play here will be Arizona +3. Chargers and 49ers NFL pick Sunday. Receivers for the Chargers, Allen and Williams out with their right tackle questionable. On defense, a linebacker is out. San Francisco has healthy starters on offense. On defense, a linebacker and right defensive tackle out with their left defensive tackle out. LA Chargers move to 5-3 here with their 20-17 road win at Atlanta Falcons. The Chargers posted 326 yards with 91 rushing on 24 attempts. Defensively, the Chargers limited the Falcons' passing game, but allowed 201 yards rushing on 35 carries. Justin Herbert, 70% completion rate, 5.7 yards per attempt. He threw for 245 yards with a touchdown and an interception. This year, Herbert has 66% completion rate with a career low 6.4 yards per attempt. San Francisco is 4-4 after their 31-14 road win at the Rams and hit the bye week. 49ers offense posted 368 yards, 111 rushing on 23 carries. Defensively, they held the Rams to under 3 yards per carry with 167 yards passing on 33 attempts. Jimmy Garoppolo, 84% completion rate, 9.4 yards per attempt. He passed for 235 yards with 2 touchdowns. This season, Garoppolo, 67% completion rate, 8.1 yards per attempt. Chargers have been competitive on the road this season, covering all 4, but back-to-back road games for the Chargers and facing a 49ers team coming off the bye. Major issue here for the Chargers are their injuries to the receivers and allowing 6.5 yards per rush on the road. Play here, San Francisco, minus 7.5. That was our NFL Pick Show here for action on Sunday. Make sure to like and subscribe and set notifications. And check out our site, TonySpicks.com, for more for our best bets on today's card. So make sure you guys check it out. All right, that's it for our NFL. We'll have NBA and college basketball for our live audience here in a little bit as we take you through the overnight hours. Leading up to our show at 9 a.m. Eastern time here with the Morning Steam. I'm Tony T. Talk to you guys a little